As you all know, my passion is inspiring the world one person at a time to live a life filled with love, tranquility, and happiness. And today I'm going to share my story with you about how I create what I call balance and productivity and happiness in my life. This is my own story because, folks, believe me or not, there was a day when I didn't have balance in my life. Happiness was not there, and but you learn about these things, and I'm going to share my story, my tips with you. However, before we do that, I got to ask you, as always, have you said your affirmations today? Right? I'm going to ask you that, right? So I hope you did do your affirmations today. I did mine this morning. And the affirmation I'm going to share with you today is derives from a quote that I saw written by Buddha. And it goes like this. It says, since everything is a reflection of your mind, everything can be changed by your mind. Since everything is a reflection of your mind, everything can be changed by your mind. So the affirmation I'd like to share with you today goes like this. And don't say it now. We're going to do it after the count of 3. It goes like this. And this is my gift to you. Please use it if you like, okay? My thoughts are powerful, and I'm creating the life I see in my mind. My thoughts are powerful, and I'm creating the life I see in my mind. So if you're alone, you can say it out loud. I love saying my affirmations out loud. If you're not alone, say it in your mind. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, my thoughts are powerful, and I'm creating the life I see in my mind. That is my gift to you. Use it if you like. It's very powerful. The life I'm living today is based on the things that I create in my mind and I attract into my life. And I'm hoping that today, the tips I'm going to share with you, I have 8 what I call life tips on how to, have balance in your life, be productive, and also create happiness in your life. And as I mentioned, there's a long time ago when I was just being run ragged, stressed out, just didn't feel balanced, and feels like you're burning the candle at, both ends. And so I'm hoping that my story and these tips will help you to find balance and be productive and bring happiness into your life. Okay? So, the first tip is number 1, what does a balanced, productive, and happy life look like to you? And I'm big into seeing what our lives look like, right? I'm big into creating the life I want to live. I'm big into creating the environment that we want to live, right? If I want to live in a positive environment, I create a positive environment. So what does your life look like that when it's balanced, when you're productive, when you're happy? What does it look like? I always mention, write it down, right? Write your script of life. When you write it out and you see it and you start to believe it and you make your affirmations align with it, it starts to happen. And there's a life truth that I shared with you a while back. It's called think from the end. When you're planning your goals and your dreams and your life, think from the end. See the life you want to live. And then you start to figure out how to get that life you want to live. You start to move towards it. You start to attract it into your life. So, number 1 tip, what does your life that's balanced, happy, and productive look like? Tip number 1. Tip number 2, you also have to be aware of what are the things that are currently in your life that's creating this imbalance or creating you to be not happy or creating, you not being productive, right? What are the things? Hopefully it's not a whole big list of things. Are there 1 or 2 major things in your life right now that's creating imbalance, that's creating unhappiness, that's creating inefficiencies? Just make a note of them, because in order to get around them and remove them from your life, you need to be aware of what they are. So tip number 2, make a note, be aware of what are the things that are currently in your life that's creating this imbalance, this unproductiveness, this unhappiness in your life. Tip number 2. Now, this one, the third tip, is something that I learned a long, long time ago, and I do it every day, every week, every month, every year. When I plan my day, my week, my month, my year, I wish I could show you my calendar. It's just blocked out, and I block things out into what I call three different time banks. Okay, time banks. Now, folks, just so you know, the one commodity that we all have equal amounts of, every human being on this planet, is time. We all have equal amounts of it. And how we utilize that time we all have will determine where we go in life, where we, what we achieve in life, or what our life looks like. So never forget that time is the one commodity we all have equal amounts of, and how we utilize that time will determine where we go in life. And so the three time banks, when I'm planning my day, my week, my month, or my year, they're broken down into these three different time banks. In this particular order, it's very important you have this particular order. The first one is what I call my me time. I always plan my me time first. What is me time? Me time for me are things that keeps me grounded, keeps me happy, keeps me in tune with the universe, keeps me in tune with God or your higher power. It keeps me stress. I don't want to say stress-free, but reduced stress. Some days are better than others, but at least I have these tools around me to help me minimize stress. So me time, I think I mentioned to you also in the past, one of my anchors is working out. When I'm feeling stressed or having a tough day, one of my anchors is I go work out. So I block an hour from my me time to work out. My typical me time day would look like morning time. I get up and I meditate. I take 30 minutes to meditate, visualize, and manifest things into my life. At that same time, I also say my affirmations. I also have me time in the car. When I'm driving for the office, I say my affirmations. And at nighttime, I now work out 3 days a week with a trainer, virtually. I wish I could be in person. But I block an hour every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to work with my trainer. That's my me time. So time bank number one, me time. Block it out. That's your sacred time. Very important. Priority number one. Time bank number two is what I call family and friends time. Okay? It's very important to book that and block it out. Whatever that could be. So for me, most of the time during the week, Monday to Friday, it's really in the evening time and spend time with my wife and kids. On the weekends, it's whatever my wife and kids want to do, that's their time. Okay? And of course, hey, I look forward to my Friday night Zoom with my friends. 8 o'clock Friday night makes my week. Okay, this pandemic is challenging for all of us, but those Friday nights I block it out, 8 o'clock till, well, I think last time we were up till maybe 1:30, I can't remember. But block out that time bank, family and friends time, very important. And the third time bank is, believe it or not, business or work time. You might say, why is that the last? Because folks, you can work 15, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and end up with no family. Is that what life's about? For me, it's not. Okay, I am successful in business, and I've got bigger goals that I am attracting into my life. However, it's not everything. It's not everything. Okay, if I don't have friends and family in my life, what's life? So prioritize those three time banks in that particular order. When you plan your day, plan your week, plan your month, or your year, it's my me time first, then your family and friends time, and then you block in your business time. So that's tip number 3. I use it every day. Now, tip number 4. Focus on things that make you happy. Focus on the activities that make you happy. Like, how many of us are doing things that we don't want to do, right? We hear the old adage, when it comes to work, how many people really love what they do? Folks, I can tell you there was a time when I didn't love what I did. However, I've learned to create the environment, create the life I want to live, and now the things I'm doing, I love to do. Is it stressful? At times, yes, it's stressful, but I love what I do. So tip number 4, focus on the things and the activities that you want that makes you happy, and also hopefully they're aligned with the goals and dreams that you've established for yourself. Tip number 5, focus on one activity at a time. We hear the term multitasking, right? And multitasking is actually a misnomer. I was watching a video a couple of months back, and somebody defined multitasking as more like task switching. Here's why. The brain is only capable of focusing on one thing at a time. Okay, I cannot focus on two things at the exact same time, but I can do two things at different times. So I like to call it task switching. My point being, focus on one task at a time. Because if you try to do too many things all together at different time sequences, you won't do it well. So focus on doing one task at a time and do it well. That's tip number 5. Now, tip number 6 is kind of tied in back into tip number 5 and tip number 4. I use throughout my day something called focus zones. Okay, so for example, I'll get to the office sometimes 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock, but I'll block out at least an hour every day to focus on the activities that are aligned with my goals that I am attracting into my life. And so what happens is a lot of times we get caught up and distracted because somebody is infringing on your time. And that what happens now is that you don't work on the things you want to work on. So I block out every day at least 1 hour, and I call it my focus zone. It's blocked out. Sometimes it can be half an hour, but typically 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, I'm focusing on the activities that are going to help me achieve the dreams and goals I've set. I give an example. Emails. How many of us get stressed out by emails, right? I mean, I get between 50 and, 100 emails a day sometimes, okay? And really, how many of those emails are that important? But for me, when I see all these emails coming in, it stresses me out because I want to have as minimal emails in my inbox as possible. So what I do is, if an email comes into my inbox, if that email is not aligned with the goals and activities that I need to do to get to my goals and dreams, I move it to another folder where I'll get to it either maybe later that day or maybe later that week. I can tell you folks, when you focus on just the things that you need to do to achieve your goals and your dreams, you become so efficient and you see progress, you see success, and most importantly, you feel happy and you're not stressed as much. So block out those focus zones. For me, it's at least Monday to Friday, at least 1 hour a day. And I focus on the activities I need to do in order to achieve the goals I've established for myself. So focus zones. The other thing also is schedule your priorities. So again, in these focus zones, these are the priorities, these are the activities that I need to do today in order to help me get to where I want to go. And there's a quote by Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey is the author that wrote 7 Habits of Successful People. And the quote goes like this. He says, "The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities." Okay? The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And so for me, what I do is every day, in my focus zones, these are the priorities. These are the activities I must do today in order to help me achieve my goals and my dreams. And one of my focused activities is reaching out to at least 3 different people every day just to say hello. Just to say hello. And I think the last time I spoke with you, I asked you to go out and inspire one person, right? You are making a difference. You do make a difference in someone else's life. When you show that you love them and you show that you care about them, you do make a difference. Okay? So get back to my point here. In your focus zones, schedule your priorities, focus on the activities that make you happy, and focus on one activity at a time. Okay? That is tip number 6. Tip number 7. This is a big one. I call it buffer zones. So a typical day might look like, I go to the office, I have my focus zone, and then I may have a meeting, and then I may have another meeting later in the day, but I've also got what's called a buffer zone. And that buffer zone really, it buys me time just to adjust if, say, my meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning got a bit over time and I have another one at 11:30. It gives me at least a half an hour just to recoup myself, just to basically give myself to gather my thoughts, okay? During this pandemic, using Zoom, I remember early in the pandemic last year, I was having like back to back to back to back meetings. It was stressful. And I said, you know what? I got to insert my buffer zones in between those meetings. Another thing is, for example, if I'm driving to an appointment, whether it be, a haircut or going to visit a friend, I build in the drive time. So if it's going to take me an hour to drive from where I am to where I need to be, I build in that buffer zone. Again, nobody wants to feel stressed, so I use these buffer zones in between my appointments or things that I need to do. So it's called buffer zones, okay? Tip number 8, last but not least, this one here is very, very important. So, folks, we need structure in our lives. That's why I'm sharing these tips with you, right? When you plan your me time, you plan your family and friends time, you plan your work and business time, and then your focus zone, your buffer zones, that's structure, right? But life also happens, right? Life happens. Things happen out of the blue. You could be at work doing something and you get a phone call from your family saying, hey, I was at the mall and my car won't start. Can you help me, right? Those things happen. And so my point here being is that you also need to be fluid. Life needs to be, fluid. So if something happens in a day and it's going to throw your plans for the day out, well, you know what? Life happens. You need to be fluid. You need to be flexible, okay? So don't get stressed out if that meeting at 4 o'clock that you had is not going to happen because your spouse's car broke down and you need to help her, okay, or him. It's okay. Don't get stressed out. Life happens. So have structure in your life, but also you need to have fluidity in your life to flow with those unexpected things. So those are the 8 life tips that I apply to my life to help me maintain a sense of balance, to help me keep being productive, and to help keep me happiness in my life. And I hope that one of them will be able to help you find balance, find happiness, and be productive throughout your day, throughout your week, or like I said, the month. If I showed you my monthly calendar, everything is totally booked up. Monday to Friday, even Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, I like to have structure around me. Now, that's all the tips I want to share with you today. But I also want to share with you what I call another one of my life truths. Okay, life truths, I have many of them. And hopefully this one here, just keep it in the back of your mind. It goes like this. When you do things when you don't have to do them, because when you have to do them, it's too late. Do things when you don't have to do them, because when you have to do them, it's too late. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, if I know that I need to get the gardening done early in spring, if I leave it too late, it's going to be too late. I cannot find anybody to do the gardening in springtime, okay? So that's just a very simple example, right? Do things when you don't have to do it, because when you have to do it, it's too late. Another thing is like, well, in my industry, a lot of us are in the life insurance industry, right? So, plan, get life insurance, put it in your life because, hey, when we get sick, it's too late. That's an example of do things when you don't have to do it, because when you have to do it, it's too late. All right. Craig, that brings me to the end of the presentation. Are there any questions, comments, or just anybody wants to say hi?
Yeah, actually, it's the perfect question. I was going to ask this too. So the question is, I have difficulties turning off my brain. Do you have any tips on how to focus to do this?
Yes. We all have challenges quieting the brain. I remember hearing from my very good friend Randy Taylor. He said to me that there's a study done on Buddhist monks, the monks that practice meditation like every day for how many hours a day. And the longest they were able to quiet their mind for was something like 17 seconds. Like, think about it. These Buddhist monks, they practice meditation every day, and the longest they can keep their mind quiet for is 17 seconds. So how the heck are we who don't practice meditation a lot are going to quiet our mind. Anyway, for me, we're all different, but for me, I use meditation to help quiet my mind. I use breathing techniques to quiet my mind. You'd be amazed of the connection you have with your breath. When you have made that connection with your breath, it just changes the entire demeanor of your physicality. And the other thing is I will go work out, because when I distract my mind with working out, it helps me just not go crazy with the thoughts in my mind. So those are things that I use, and those are my anchors. I think I mentioned in the past. Those are my anchors. For some of you, it could be something different. It could be, maybe journaling, right? It could be going for a drive. It could be going for cycling. It could be going for a walk. Whatever it is, there are many different techniques you can use to try to quiet your mind. Okay? Craig, did I answer the question?
I think so. You brought up meditation, and since I've been with you on this message of inspiration journey, I meditation is very interesting, but I have no idea how to start. Where do you begin with meditation? How do you do that?
Yeah, Craig, what I recommend you do is on your phone, there are many apps you can use for meditation. One of them that I use is called OAK, Oak. I was doing the Noom weight loss program, and they recommended this app. And so I use this Oak app for breathing and meditation. And they have guided meditation, and they have just, non-guided meditation. That's just one of the apps, Craig. Or you can read books on how to meditate. But I think with technology today, you can download many apps or buy an app that can help you for meditation.
Okay, and one final question. You had mentioned buffer zones, and buffer zones kind of between work and maybe family life. And I think for a lot of us, we used to have a lot of very easy buffer zones, right? And that was driving to and from work, right? That was a fantastic buffer zone. But given the past year, those buffer zones are gone. And I must admit, even I have a problem now where work just ends and I immediately move into family life, and that can blend the two together. So can you give me some examples of things that I could do from home as a buffer zone that might not be working out because I don't want to get sweaty in between my buffer zones?
Right. Well, let me ask you a question, Craig. I mean, if you don't mind sharing, what would your typical day look like?
Typical day, I would get up and kind of get the kitchen in order and get the kids' lunches made, and then make sure they get off to school. And then it's time for me to go immediately down into my basement and get working. And then they'll come home off of the bus around 4 o'clock. And I still have a little bit more work to do after that. But as soon as that work is done, I do come right upstairs and we get right into talking about their day. But sometimes I find that transition tough, and I'm being pulled back to work when I don't necessarily have to be. It's just my brain doing this.
Right. So what I recommend is exactly what I said in the tips. You need to actually block out the time for family. So if you know the kids are coming home Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock, okay, then that's your family time, right? And you cannot let work impede with that. So if the family time is between 4 and 6, you block it out, right? And then if you need to get back to work after 6, that's okay. But you need to also, like maybe, I don't know if you block out lunch. Like lunch is a very important thing, right? You gotta eat, okay? So, block out lunchtime, and then, input your buffer zones in between maybe some tasks you're working on. But again, there are some tasks that are more priority than others for you. So perhaps in your focus zone on the day, I don't know, you see the kids go to school in the morning time, then, do you block out 1 hour of focus time to say, okay, I must get this done today. If I don't get it done today, all hell could break loose, right? So schedule your focus time, schedule your buffer time, schedule family time, okay? And don't let one impede on the other, unless, of course, something extraordinary happens. I
Okay.
hope that kind of makes sense, Craig. But we can talk offline if you want also, okay? And I
No,
can
that's
answer.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much for that.
I want to thank you. I miss you. I love you. Thank you for your time. And if anybody has any questions, please just send an email to me at hello at messagesofinspiration.ca. Thank you, everybody. I love you. Have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you all in person. Take care.